segue because I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that. But then when you sit back, you go, that's a lot of capability, and be able to have a limited console. I think the strategy's there, and it's really fun. And the API part, I actually had to dive in with my CTO a bit because I didn't quite understand it, but now I get it. But if you could explain for everybody, like, what is the difference between like an MTA approach from security versus like an API in the cloud world?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of the key differences when you're talking about an MTA-based technology, typically you're talking about an email security gateway, right? And so they sit in front of your exchange, right? And then they protect just email, which is fine if that's all you need. But as we've moved to the cloud and we move to things like Office 365, that have multiple apps within that suite, you have a broader need. It's not just email. Yes, you need email protection, but you also need to protect your OneDrive. I can't tell you the amount of customers that I talk to that when I ask them, do they know what's in their OneDrive and how are they protecting it? And they just look at me like a deer in the headlights. And that's a scary place to be. You need to protect that data. You've got your SharePoint, now you've got Teams coming in. And so some of the key advantages of an API-based technology is not only ease of deployment, like we can actually onboard you. I think it's like 6 questions. And when I demo it, it's like 4 minutes. Now, if you want to read every single line on the permission screen when we give you the pop-ups, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. But you can get a good, your good sampling and your good onboarding, and then you're running your compliance scans already within 4 minutes, which is huge. There's no latency for your end users. It's seamless to them. They don't know it's there because we sit within the SaaS app itself. There's no agents on the endpoint. There's no separate portal for them to log in. However, they're logging into their SaaS apps today, they continue to do that. So one of the ways that we leverage the SaaS providers, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is everything they scan and they pass as clean, we pick it up and we continue scanning. And then we scan it with our advanced protections. And so the reduction in latency, because we're API-based, so we're really contained for the majority of the information within that same space, is huge. There's no redirect of traffic that's needed. There's no changing of MX records that's needed. We've used terms like CASB, which is somewhat of a turnoff too for people. We're not a broker, so you don't have to deploy a broker. You don't have to deploy logon connectors. So CASBs also typically don't provide email protection from the security perspective. They don't necessarily claim to be a DLP solution.
They're just
either.
A broker.
Exactly.
They carry you into the tent and wherever you're going, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so being API based and we don't have anything to deploy, I don't like to refer to us as a CASB. We took a holistic approach to protect not only just your email, but also your other SaaS apps within that suite that you're using. So we focus, which is not something that your MTAs can do. And there's also deployment overhead with MTAs, and there's some key differences there.
It's a nuance, but it's a very important one.
It is. It is because that protection space has expanded. And one of the things that we see in one of the very large enterprise customers that I've worked with is, in larger organizations, their IT admins or their security admins are typically segregated. You have somebody who manages email, and then you got somebody who manages Box. Somebody who manages the OneDrive and the other apps, cloud storage apps or whatever. And so what we didn't want to provide was a disjointed solution, right? And help the bolted on approach kind of continue to proliferate. So we did a comprehensive solution. So you don't have to piece together a bunch of packages. You don't have to spend an hour and a half trying to figure out what to buy. Your multiple IT admins can administer the same product. One administers, cloud storage, one administers email. You can do all that from within the same technology.
And you also made the point, which I think is important, is that, SonicWall, like any product, has a sort of a legacy reputation of just being a firewall vendor. And the good question from the audience was, well, don't I have to be on your firewall product to do this? What a great question. And the answer was no. Which was good.
Yeah, being API based, we don't have any dependencies from the cloud app security perspective on any of our existing products. Clearly, we want you to use them, and you get a lot of value from using our Capture Security Center with that single pane of glass by plugging in the different technologies and managing them from the same space. But for cloud app security, we have no other product dependencies. You just need to be using a SaaS app like Office 365 or G Suite or Box or Dropbox.
And some of your other products work the same way. Like you can have a legacy investment in the firewall, but might want Capture client at your endpoints. And those can bypass the firewall and go right up to the security center, which I found, now it's more powerful to kind of tie it in through the firewall, but if they're just bought the firewalls 2 months ago, we're not going to get them off of it for a little while.
Right. And every customer is different and their business needs are different. And nobody is going out buying all new technology across their space in one day, and it's an evolution. And so, as a customer, you get whichever vendor you select, as many products as you can consolidate into a single platform for management, reporting, and security effectiveness, the bigger benefit it is to you. Is it practical to think that every single one of our customers is going to have every piece of our technology? No. And so we want to give you that flexibility so that you can manage the products that you have in a solid, cohesive way. And then if you are not happy with another technology, you can potentially replace them going forward and keep it all together in a really tightly integrated fashion.